Welcome back to Principles with Cory and Logan, y'all. Super excited about our podcast today. I've got a friend of mine that I know is just going to add a ton of value to you. Her name is Ashley Elkins. I actually knew of Ashley before we actually met. We run in the same kind of circles, entrepreneur here in Tupelo, Mississippi. She's doing a lot of great things, but then we got involved with a nonprofit really trying to bring transformation to our area and really got to see her brilliance. But man, she is such a great strategist. She's a great innovator and just loves to help people. And so Ashley, welcome to Principles with Cory and Logan.
Well, thank you, Cory. You're making me blush, but I am honored to be here.
Oh, you're going to add a ton of value. Well, y'all, Ashley is the president and the founder of Vitality South. They do a lot of marketing. I'm sure she'll tell you a lot about that. But she also just came out with a book called The Shoestring Empire, and we're going to dive into some of that. But Ashley, I would love to hear some of your journey. Like, you're an entrepreneur now. I mean, is that something that's always been stirred with you? Kind of take us on that journey.
Right. So I'm gonna be honest, like it never dawned on me when I was a little girl, like I'm gonna start my own business. My mama and my daddy, they work jobs, and my grandmama and everyone. So I just kind of thought, you go to college and you get a job, and that's exactly what I did. And so I went and I got my undergrad in marketing, and then I started looking for a marketing job, and they either want someone that's going to, pick up coffee for you making nothing, or they're looking for someone with 7 years of experience. And I'm like, oh no, how do you even break into this field? And so I ended up going to kind of like a transient kind of a different type of role. And I took on a sales job, which if you would have asked me what I wanted to do, I would have said I wanted anything but that. But I did that, and I learned so much. And I learned because I had the impression of sales, like you had to be a used car salesman or really, talk people into things that they don't need. But really what I learned when I was in that role is all I had to do is help people. And when I have products and services that help people, that I'm actually helping them and giving them value versus begging them to do something for me. And so that was a learning curve that I really, really, really needed. I just didn't realize how much I needed it. I went back to school, got my MBA. I got a organizational leadership and development because I knew that motivating people, developing people was really what gave me so much energy. And then times changed. We ended up moving with my husband's job, and I ended up starting to make websites and social media and stuff like that on the side at home. And then I got an approach from a company asking me if I would start a marketing agency for them. And so really, I kind of sort of got backed into it. But once I got a taste of it, I realized I saw my real passion. And I love marketing and helping businesses grow. And I really love leadership and helping people develop. And so the two of those together, owning and running a marketing agency, truly has just been a wonderful, wonderful dream for me. And then several years later, I decided to kind of do it for my own and really be able to impact lives. And it's been truly the joy of my life.
Yeah, I love what you said. You're talking about you didn't really like sales, and I think a lot of people kind of like that because we get the image of the slick back hair, used car salesman thing. But you kind of pulled it out. Sales is not what you do to people; it's what you do for people. You're trying to solve problems. That's what great sales professionals do, and that's kind of what you're talking about. Is I'm helping people. I love that. That's great.
That's right. That's right. I truly love helping people, and I have conversations with people all the time that don't have, all they have is a dream. That's all they have. And but I love that because it gives me fire, and it reignites my fuel and my passion for, business development and, the dream, the American dream of owning and starting a business.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And actually, a lot of the people who listen to our podcast, they're entrepreneurs, or they're kind of thinking about being an entrepreneur. And I know your book's going to help them. I'd like to dive into that. But for those people who are already kind of in business, I would love to hear from a marketing genius like yourself. What do you kind of see? Well, maybe one one or two of your best pieces of advice for somebody who's trying to get it going, but they can't seem to break past some certain barriers, like they want to get to another level? What do you have for them?
So a couple of thoughts on that. One idea is to always start with the customer. And so, for example, if I'm selling, say shoes, and my target audience is a 45 to 55-year-old woman, then put yourself in the shoes of a 45 to 55-year-old woman and think, what do I like? Where am I? What's important to me? Where am I likely to hang out? What is my interest? What's appealing to me? And if you can really put yourself into the viewpoint of whom you're trying to reach and do that with excellence, then everything starts going in the right direction. So you might not have considered, hey, 45 to 55-year-old women, they love Pinterest, right? Why would my company be on Pinterest? And then you start thinking, because that's where my ideal client is. And I'm not here to promote Pinterest in any way, but a lot of times when you actually put yourself and think from that point of view, your ideas of where's the right place to harvest customers completely changes. For B2B people like us, a lot of times LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. And so that might be where we need to really lean upon business networking events and stuff like that for B2B people. But it really changes depending on who you're trying to reach. That's one thing. And then the second thing that I really like to talk about is thinking differently. What you're already doing hasn't gotten you the results that you're already wanting. So doing more of the same thinking changes. And so that might be that you need to consult with an outside consultant to be able to just think about it from new perspective, new experiences, new vantage point. That might mean really just taking time to go out into the wilderness and just start over with thinking. I'm not sure exactly what it is doing differently, but if the thinking that you've already thunk has gotten you what you've gotten and you want something new and more, then we need to reinvent our thinking. There may be an entirely different way to look at it that could change everything.
Yeah, I love that. I don't even know what you just said there. What you thought is not working. It's that definition of insanity that we keep talking about, right? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different outcomes. One thing that you said that was really powerful. When we had our first business, if you were to ask me that, who is your ideal customer? I was like, well, everybody can benefit from what I do, right? But getting crystal clear on who your prime customer is allows you to serve them even better, right?
Absolutely. And having a target audience and being specific about it doesn't mean that you don't want everybody to give you business. Anyone that walks in with cash is welcome to buy your product or service. But when the door chimes and you have your eyes closed and you don't look up at the door, if you have to guess, what is the demographics of the person that just walked in, your most likely customer, the person that's most likely to write you the biggest and best check, who is that person? And if we can target it around really making that person feeling welcome and like your services, then everyone else will benefit from it as well.
Yeah, that's powerful. Well, Ashley, I'm spot on. I totally agree with that, and I would love to hear a little bit more about your book. Who's that kind of geared towards? Is it current entrepreneurs or somebody who's kind of on the fence?
So it really can be for anyone that wants to start a business, or it really can be for people that already have businesses. But the main goal is it is geared towards people that are wanting to start a business that haven't already, or to take a side hustle and really make it a full hustle or something along those lines. But I think a lot of people can find value in it because a lot of it's on motivation. If you have a minute, I'll share a quick story with you. So for our third wedding anniversary, I surprised my husband. And I got him to wake up in the morning and I said, hey, I've got a surprise for you. We're going to celebrate our anniversary. And he's like, great, where are we going? I'm like, don't worry about it. Just get in the car. And he is like, okay, what should I wear? I was like, something comfortable, just get in the car. And so we start driving and we drive for an hour. And he's like, Ashley, where are we going? I'm like, don't worry about it. We're going to be fine. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. And so we get into this big open field and I said, baby, we're here. And he's like, great, where are we? And I said, we're going skydiving today for our anniversary. Now, neither of us have ever been skydiving. we've never talked about skydiving, but he's always up for an adventure. So I thought, why not surprise him with skydiving? That's the day that I learned that he's afraid of heights.
Mhm.
But he always down for an adventure. He sure enough was like, okay, let's do this thing. And so we go and we get all of our harnesses on. It's a tandem kind of experience when you skydive and you're not trained in that. So, you find the person that you're going to be strapped to, your life's going to depend on. And we go get in the plane. And until we actually got in the plane, my whole thought had been how exciting it would be to surprise Chris. And so that's where all of my emotions, all of my thoughts had been the whole time, was surprising him. But then when we get in the plane and start taking off, I'm like, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? And so we start going up in this plane, and I'm telling you, we were so high. You like look down and the houses look like Legos. So I'm like, I did not realize it was going to be this high. And my instructor that's right next to me leans over and he shows me his little altitude gauge, and he's like, we're halfway up. I'm like, oh my goodness. And so we go all the way up to the very top. And they open the door, and I'm just like, wow, this is getting really, really, really real. My heart's beating 1,000 miles per hour. And my instructor says to me, he's like, Ashley, this is the easy part. All you have to do is lean out and let go. Now, saying leaning out and letting go and actually leaning out and letting go are two entirely different things. And for me, I felt like that for me, like for a while, I wanted to start a business before I actually said, hey, I'm starting a business. It was just like a dream, something I told people one day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to do that. And you're afraid because what if I fail? What if my parachute doesn't open after I jump? You're afraid, what if you hire people and then you're not able to pay them? What if, and just the what ifs can just get completely out of control. But the truth is that you already have what it takes. You are already good enough. It's you holding yourself back. It's the fears. And so finally, you just have to realize, I am going to make sure I'm prepared, make sure my parachute's packed, make sure I've done my planning, I've done my due diligence, things like that. And you just have to lean out and let go. And that's what I finally did. And that's a lot of what's in this book. It's not about skydiving at all, but it's about the how do you lean out and let go? How do you plan so that you can be prepared for that? How do you, know what to expect? And how do you just find the mental fortitude to actually just do it? And so it's how to unlock the resources and the confidence to start your own business.
I love that. That's so good. So you telling me y'all never even had a conversation about skydiving?
No. I called my sister before we got in the car, and I was like, somebody needs to know this just in case it doesn't work out. My husband and I are going skydiving today, and don't tell mom.
That is awesome. So what was his thoughts the moment he realized he's about to go up in a plane?
I'm gonna be honest, like for me and Chris, I'm the thinker, the overthinker, the worrier, the planner, that kind of stuff. And he's like, let's embrace life. Let's just do it. And so I think that if I had planned for him and told him that we were going to do it, he would have worried, he would have stressed, he would have all sorts of stuff. But really, I don't think he really had time to do any thinking. I mean, we got there and it's time to go. And so he's a good sport. He always is. I mean, when I told him that I was going to quit my job and start a business and stuff like that, he was just like, great. And I'm just like, wait a minute, you didn't worry with me. You haven't stressed enough over this. And he's like, no, I know you'll do great. And so he rolls with the punches. So I guess he's the yin to my yang.
That is awesome. So Ashley, so say you got somebody, they're hanging onto the fence, they're leaning out, but they having a hard time letting that pinky finger go, okay? Right? They've done everything that they know to do, but they just got to let go. What's your best piece of advice for them?
I really think to vision. What you've already got all the what if it goes wrongs in your head. Like really take time to think, what if it goes right? what if all of my dreams do come true? What if I am able to have success? And it doesn't necessarily just a job, but what if it's, for me, I've kind of had the same fear over and over again. Like every time I grow my business, every time I add a head count, every time I take on a new service, every time I take on a client that's bigger than we've ever had before, you have the exact same fears over and over again. That's the secret. That's what people don't realize. Starting a business is not a one-time fear. It's an ongoing every single time, unless you want to just coast it and ride it down until you retire, you're going to have to, if you're wanting to grow your business, you're going to have to jump out of the plane again and again and again. And that's what people don't realize getting into, or at least I sure didn't. And so here I am knocking on 4 years into this business. And I can't tell you how many times I've jumped out of the plane, but I can tell you this, I get better at jumping out of the plane every time I jump.
That's right.
It's a little bit easier to let go.
Yeah.
And so just do it and envision what happens. What if it does come true? For me, I can tell you, and this is in my book, what the mantra that finally gave me the courage to move forward. The one thing I said to myself every single day is, I fear regret more than I fear failure. For me, I could live with being 90 years old on my deathbed, having a business that failed. I could live with trying my hardest and it just didn't work out. For me, I got myself to the point I just couldn't live with not trying. I could not stand myself for not trying to live to my fullest potential and doing what I knew in my heart that I could do. And so that's what I say to myself every single day. I fear regret more than I fear failure.
It's really powerful. I love what you said, those what ifs. Isn't it interesting that our what ifs tend to be more negative? Like, what if I fail? What if this doesn't work out? What if somebody makes fun of me or whatever? But
absolutely.
How you shifted it. Like, well, what if it works out? What if it works out? Like all your dreams come true? What if?
Right. And we don't allow ourselves to dwell on the positive. We don't give ourselves permission to be hopeful, excited. I heard this TED talk not too long ago, and what they were saying is the absolute hardest emotion for humans is joy. We don't let ourselves experience joy because we're afraid that if we experience joy and it turns out not to work out, then we're going to have this big grief process, right? But the problem is that we give ourselves the grief process no matter if we experienced the joy or didn't experience the joy. And so we try to safeguard ourselves by holding off on the joy and the excitement and, being happy for our accomplishments. But really, all we're doing is limiting the amount of joy that we have in our lives because the negative stuff's going to come no matter what.
Yeah. Wow. Limit our joy. That's interesting. One of the things, anybody who's listened to the podcast have heard me talk about the use of our imagination. We all use it. And that's kind of what you're saying is we can use it for the negative. We can use it to create all these scenarios of what if that are on the negative side, but we can also use it to create the positive. Something else I thought you said that was super powerful. You're talking about, I don't want to, the pain of regret. And reminds me of this Jim Rohn quote I heard. He says, people are going to suffer of one of two pains. The pain of regret, which weighs a ton, or the pain of discipline, which weighs ounces. And that's kind of what you're saying. It's powerful.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I haven't heard that quote, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, Ashley, I thank you for coming on. I know we're a little bit rushed on our time. We want to honor your time is what I want to say. And so for anybody who's listening, they want to know more about, maybe they need help with their business from a marketing aspect, or if they want to know more about your book, how do they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Well, I have a website, obviously. We are a marketing company, so we've kind of got that in the bag. So you can go to vitalitysouth.com, VITALITY South.com. And that is our marketing and technology. We do websites, marketing, apps, IT, all that kind of stuff. And then if you wanted to learn more specifically about the book, we do have a website for Shoestring Empire. It's just shoestringempire.com. On there, if you read the book, I ask you to really take inventory of the resources that you have to grow your business. And we've made a free workbook that's on shoestringempire.com that you can download to accompany it. And so that is there. It'll also link you to Amazon where you can purchase the book, either e-edition or paperback.
Oh, that is awesome. Thank you for that. And I know you would add a ton of content, but also a ton of value to anybody who reads that. Thank you, Ashley, for coming on today. Thank you for taking the time and adding value to our listeners.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you guys for taking a listen. And if Ashley has added value to you, make sure that you comment below. We can get that comment to her, or make sure to connect with her. She's on all the social media platforms. You follow her. She always has some good marketing tips, but also inspiration. She says she loves to inspire leaders. She talked about that at the beginning. So make sure to follow her. She'll add a ton of value to you guys. Thank you. Have a great day.